Hey guys, Sandra from Metal Wani here with not one, but two Portnoys, Mike and Max. How are you guys doing today?
Good. The Portnoys.
Okay, so Max, I'm going to start with you. Your band Next to None, how did you guys come together initially?
I knew Chris and Ryland since like first grade. We were in this program called Spanish Immersion, and we were friends ever since we met. And we always played instruments together. They both played guitar at the time. Chris switched to bass though recently. I mean, obviously now he's in the band as bass. But once we met Thomas in about sixth grade, we decided to start writing some stuff and form a band, and that's how it all started.
Awesome. So you guys are touring right now. I think there are some American dates in April.
Yeah, we're going to be going out with Metal Legions. We're opening for them. That's going to be starting March 31st, and it's going to be till April 7th.
Awesome. Is there anywhere that you'd like to play that you haven't played yet?
Well, definitely Europe and the West Coast. We haven't even gone out to the West Coast yet. So definitely get out to like California and stuff like that. But we'd also really like to play Europe too.
Yeah, for sure.
I think the audiences would love Next to None. I think they would do great over there. So hopefully that'll be in their future soon.
Actually, I saw you guys. I saw Next to None open for Haken last year. What was that like touring with them?
Oh, that was amazing. That was probably one of my favorite tours we've done. They're just such great guys. They're awesome, and the crowds really loved us, and the crowds were great. And it was just probably my favorite tour. Same with the band. They really loved that tour. We hope in the future maybe we can do something with Haken again.
Yeah, no, it was great. So Mike, you're always coming out with different bands and so much material. You're always so busy. Winery Dogs, Flying Colors. You're working with Neal Morse all the time. What are you currently working on?
Well, I just finished a few days ago the new Neal Morse Band album, and that'll be out later in the year. And I could not be prouder of it. I just posted a few days ago, and I sincerely mean it, that it actually is one of my favorite albums of my entire discography. It might even be at the top of the list of everything I've ever done. That's how excited I am about it. So just finished that. That'll be out later in the year. But next up for me is this Metal Allegiance tour with Next to None over the next couple weeks on the East Coast. And then from there, I'm back with the Winery Dogs, and we have a Japanese tour in April and a South American tour in May, and some scattered shows throughout the summer as well. And then I also will be spending most of the summer with Twisted Sister and doing their 40 and F It farewell tour. So, pretty much juggling those four bands for the bulk of this year.
Awesome. I saw there was a mysterious post about some new stuff for next year. Possibly, is that to do with like your 50th or?
Well, it is now 2:25 on Wednesday afternoon, and in about an hour and 35 minutes from now, the big announcement will be made. So I can't divulge it yet, but at 4 o'clock today, the announcement's be made. So by the time people hear this, they'll know exactly what it is. But it's sure to be one of the coolest events of my career, and I look forward to it.
Awesome. I'll be looking out for that. So also, I just wanted to ask you, one of my personal favorite projects that you've ever worked on. A few years back, you were doing Liquid Tension Experiment. So what was it like to work with Tony Levin?
Working with Tony was a dream come true. Liquid Tension Experiment started as basically I was given an open palette to put together any band I could dream of by Magna Carta at the time. This was around 1997 or so, and basically they said, "Hey, we'd like to, give you an album. Do with it whatever you wish. Whoever you could dream up of." So Tony Levin was at the top of my list. I had always wanted to work with him, and he came on board, and that's how Liquid Tension Experiment was born. And yeah, doing those 2 albums and the subsequent live shows with him was just amazing. He's just such a great guy and such a legendary player. Obviously, everything from King Crimson to Peter Gabriel to John Lennon, and he's the consummate professional, but he's also a great improviser, which I love, and that was something we integrated into Liquid Tension a lot because he's such a great, such a great jammer, improviser. So we really were able to do a lot of that, which was fun.
Fantastic. Is there any future for Liquid Tension Experiment?
Well, I never say never. I'm open to any possibilities of anything in the future, should the stars align. And Tony and I have indeed spoken about it, and I know, we both would love to. It's just a little bit of a sensitive issue with John and Jordan because of, they still being in Dream Theater and obviously me not being there. So, it gets a little sensitive there, but, I'll just say I'm always open to it. I would love to someday. So, we'll see. The door's always open on my end.
Awesome. So Max, you've clearly been shown the ropes by your father when it comes to drumming. When did he start teaching you how to play drums, and what made you decide to follow in his footsteps?
Well, my dad actually didn't teach me. I actually get lessons from a guy, Todd, at the California Drum Shop. It's like a couple minutes down the street. No, never mind. It's like 20 minutes. But anyway, I get lessons from him. My dad shows me a couple things when he's home, but for the most part, I'm just getting lessons from Todd.
Cool. So, when did you start learning drums?
I was like 5-ish, I guess, around that time. I've always kind of been playing drums, but when I was 5, was when I kind of wanted to get lessons.
Awesome. And Mike, I'd like to hear your side of it. What's it like mentoring and managing Max and his band?
Well, first of all, I don't manage next to none. Actually, my wife Marlene does, so she deserves that. But as far as Max developing as a drummer, like he said, he does go for lessons with somebody else, only because I'm, 2 reasons. One is that I'm not home consistently enough, and I think it's important for him or any young drummer to get lessons consistently. And then the other reason is that I'm not a teacher. It doesn't matter how many drum awards I've won. It doesn't make me a good teacher per se. There's a difference between being a drummer and being a teacher. So I think it's important for him to go to somebody that is a good teacher. And he's been getting lessons from this guy Todd for the last 10 years or so. It's like he doesn't have a last name. It's like the elusive Todd, like he's Yoda or something. No, his name is Todd Sheed. But anyway, he's been going to lessons from him since he was a kid. But I think, Max growing up on tour, sitting behind my drums and watching me, you can inevitably see a lot of my style in his. I think it just, inevitably rubbed off.
Well, yeah,
but
exactly.
I've always been supportive. Whatever he wanted to do, I would have been supportive. If he wanted to be an electrician or a filmmaker, I would have been supportive with that as well. But the fact that he picked up a pair of drumsticks is really cool, and I'm totally supportive of it.
Fantastic. So this is for both of you. We'll start with you, Max. Who would you say are your biggest musical influences?
Other than my dad, definitely Joey Jordison and Chris Adler. I grew up listening to their stuff, Slipknot, Lamb of God, and they've just been, my biggest influence. I love playing to their music and stuff. I've met them back when I was little. I met Joey Jordison, and actually recently I saw Megadeth and I saw Chris Adler, and it was pretty awesome. So they're up there with my dad as my favorites.
Sweet. Is there a single greatest drummer you could think of, past or present?
I never think of my favorites. Like I said, my dad, Joey, and Chris are just my favorites.
Awesome. What about you, Mike?
Oh, well, my influences are all across the board. The big 3 for me when I was a kid were Keith Moon, John Bonham, and Ringo Starr. Then I went through a phase where it was Peter Criss and Tommy and Marky Ramone. Then I discovered progressive music, and it was guys like Neil Peart and Bill Bruford and Terry Bozzio, and then all the metal drummers that came around with the thrash movement. My favorites, my influences have been all across the board, and it's just been a big giant evolution. I should probably also say that some of my biggest musical heroes aren't even drummers, like Paul McCartney and John Lennon, or Frank Zappa, Pete Townsend, Roger Waters. Those guys, as artists and songwriters, have been just as big of an influence on me as any drummer.
Mm-hmm. Well, when you mention people like Bruford and Terry Bozzio and stuff like that, obviously, especially the kind of music that you play a lot of the time is, more sort of the progressive element of metal. There's always a huge debate as to what exactly makes something progressive. Do you have any opinions on that?
Well, I think the term progressive is exactly that. It's music that makes progress. Music that tries different things and is constantly developing and progressing. It is what it is. If the term kind of explains itself. I think music that combines many different types of influence and diversity could be progressive. I mean, a band like Opeth is a great example. They have everything from the heaviest, most brutal death metal elements to moments that are complete, straight up like jazz. So, I think that is what the term progressive really is. It's about that broad range and open-minded willingness to experiment.